Welcome back to the Green Means Go channel. It's your host, me. We're here to talk home runs today. The slate looks 8.5 out of 10. So I am excited to discuss it, hopefully give you some things that will lead to you making some informed decisions and hopefully then winning bets. Yesterday was the 4th of July. Here's my meat. It was good, if I do say so myself. For my first go-around, I was pleased with it. It fed people. Nobody's thrown up yet, so we're good. It turned out all right, so we'll count that as a win. I think my next smoking adventure will be something that doesn't take 8 to 12 hours, maybe some chicken wings or something. We went to the fireworks last night. My daughter looked like this the entire time. This was her first experience with the fireworks, and she's like her father. Didn't like noises, loud noises. Still don't really like loud noises, but as a kid, they really bothered me. Cigarette smoke and loud noises as a kid set me off like no other. You mix the two, and you're in a bad time. So like restaurants, loud restaurants where smoking was my nemesis as a kid. Remember you went into a restaurant and they asked you smoking or non-smoking? What a time to be alive. So she enjoyed them, she said, but certainly too loud for her. So we're going to just kind of compile all of our losses here. We're down over 10 units on the year. And, I've seen the comments, I've seen the feedback, and I think, at least for a little bit, I will say this. I don't know what my official plays are really helping, because I don't think they are helping. I think more people are here for the analysis, for the conversation, and for the sheet. So I'm not saying I'm going to be done with giving out plays, quote unquote, but I don't think the time and energy I put into the plays are returning anything of value, and I don't think anybody really tails them anyway. So I will continue to do this and talk through the slate and give you some things that I think would be worth a look, and you can decide if you want to play them. And I think that's kind of how we can proceed and continue to adapt this series to be helpful for everyone. Game in Minnesota today is early, and the weather looks okay for this big park in Minnesota. I like Minnesota's bats in this one. Minnesota's pitcher was not decided at the time of the making of the sheet, so that's why Tampa Bay's purple. I'm not sure. The wind is helping left-handed batters. I like Trevor Larnach at 650 and Matt Wallner at 410. Game in Chicago could be a homer fest. Now, when I say that, we know what happens. Nothing. What happened yesterday? The guys we needed yesterday, the day before, 2 days ago, all decided it was their turn. Michael Busch, who I've been tailing for 2 days prior. I bet him on Wednesday. I bet him on Thursday. I didn't bet him yesterday, and he hit 3 home runs yesterday. That's the game we play. I just want to add this in. I think home runs are relatively random. I think you can handicap. I think you can look at stats. I think you can look at data, and you can make informed decisions. But at the end of the day, there is a lot that goes into a ball leaving the park. We talked about it yesterday. I'm going to just reinforce it. So understand that's the game we are also playing. Chicago looks good, darn good. And my strategy typically, when the game and the weather and the pitching looks good, when it looks like anybody's in play, I try to take guys who have value in a number. Justin Turner, 7-1. Nico Horner, 10-1. Victor Scott, 1250 would be my leans. Game in Toronto, let's just play some hot bats. Addison Barger and George Springer have been incredibly hot lately. Seeing the ball well, swinging the bat hard, and they're at home yet again. And their numbers are pretty good for what they've been able to do, especially George Springer. Doesn't he have back-to-back? Not back-to-back, but this week he had 2 games with 2 homers. That's pretty wild. So at 560 against the pitcher for the Angels, who I can never pronounce, Jack K, as I'll call him, I think it's a great price. Nolan Shonwell at 850. Joe Adell, I think, is also a pretty good price at 4-1. Game in Washington. The wind says play the right-handed bats. Therefore, I cannot force Washington left-handed bats here, which I maybe would, considering Walker Buehler has been sorry. Speaking of sorry, my apologies. Carlos Narvaez and Romy Gonzalez would be my leans for Boston. I'd take right-handed batters for Boston today against Mitchell Parker. Game in Philadelphia, I trust Ranger Suarez. Therefore, I don't think the Cincinnati Reds have much to offer. Spencer Steer has probably been their hottest right-handed bat. He's injured. Tyler Stevenson was the only guy data-wise, matchup-wise against Suarez that maybe was worth a look, but I didn't want to force something just to have a play down, so I just would stay away from Cincinnati today. The weather in the park, like I said, is good. Nick Castellanos at 520. Kyle Schwarber, although he's facing a lefty, I think that number is a little too low, 260, but check his reverse splits. In other words, how he plays against left-handed batters or left-handed pitchers. Why don't we do that together? We can do it now. I mean, why not? So here's a little trick. RotoWire baseball lineups. It's a free site. It tells you the lineups. You can go through. You can click on a guy, and you can see, if you scroll down, since 2023, pretty good sample size, versus lefties, he's hit 39 home runs, 72 versus righties. This season, 12 against lefties, 14 against righties, slugging better against left-handed pitching. There you go. There's your stats on reverse splits. Kyle Schwarber actually hits lefties better than righties, and he's facing Nick Lodolo today, a lefty. So I'm glad we looked that up. I'm fine with Kyle Schwarber here, even at 260. Game in New York. Against New York, good conditions, but the pitching matchups do not look great. I don't want to force anything. Carlos Rodon, I typically like to avoid, but New York's power and home run ability is over-distributed in their left-handed bats. They don't have a ton of righties who have raw power. Pete Alonso, obviously, and at 4-1, I like, but nobody else. Jazz Chisholm at 430, I think, is fine for the Yankees. But, I just don't see a lot in that game that makes me excited. However, the opposite can be said about Arizona. I think Arizona has a real shot today to put Michael Wacha in the pain chamber. I think they could take him deep and take him deep often. I think it's one of the better matchups today, and if I had to load up any team thus far in the slate, it would be Arizona left-handed batters and switch hitters. Pavin Smith at 7-1, Ketel Marte at 460, Josh Naylor, Perdomo, McCarthy. Look through the lineup. Figure out if there's anybody you like. I think that is where the value is on this game. As for Kansas City, we saw Vinny Pasquantino hit 2 yesterday. I look at that slate yesterday. I know I didn't do this breakdown yesterday. I look at some of the guys that hit home runs, and I'm like, of course, Michael Busch. Of course, Vinny Pasquantino. Of course, Brent Batty and Jeff McNeil. I just look at that line. I'm like, those are the guys I take. Of course. Miguel Garcia, 1060. Bobby Witt Jr., 450. Game in Atlanta, I'm also pretty interested in because I think the weather, like Colton Cowser at 750 is nuts. Henderson at 700 is nuts. I have a purple pitching matchup for Baltimore because Atlanta either is starting a guy and then switching. They're kind of doing a starter and then a primary guy, or their starter hasn't had a lot of data. It's just there's not a confirmed confident pitching matchup. Regardless, the win says left-handed batters. So like Henderson and Cowser are they're going to have 9 innings of baseball. And at that number, I think it's fantastic. Olsen and Profar would be my leans for Atlanta. I love Jurickson Profar. Used to be one of my favorite batters to pick for San Diego, especially last year. Then he got in trouble with performance-enhancing drugs, and he was gone for, I thought he was gone for over 100 games, and we're not at 100. I don't think we're at 100 games yet. So I was shocked that he was back. And his first game back, he hits a home run. Second game back, he hits a home run. I'm like, did they drain his veins? He's still performance-enhanced. Dude's still going long. 650. Doesn't look too bad. Game in Miami is probably bizarrely one of the least confident games I'm about. And it's funny because months ago we would have been all over Miami because it was indoors and it wasn't 40 degrees with wind blowing in. And now that we're in the middle of summer, it's like, okay, this isn't the best spot. Yelich, Churio, Sanchez, and Stowers would all be my leans. I don't see more than 3 home runs here, but I don't think those prices are horrible. Game in Cleveland looks good as well. Arizona lefties, Cleveland lefties are probably my strongest feels today. Jahmai Jones and Gleyber Torres for the Detroit Tigers, Cal Manzardo, Nolan Jones, Steven Kwan, Jose Ramirez, Carlos Santana, Daniel Schneemann, Bo Naylor. It's an option. What is Cleveland's money line right now? Let's take a look at that. Because if I was giving you an official play, it might be Cleveland as the dog of the day. Detroit's the favorite. Yeah, Detroit's the favorite. So I'm not going to give you it officially, but I think Cleveland could put up runs. We'll put it like that. I also think Detroit could put up runs. So maybe it's better to just take the over or take Cleveland team total. Last games of the night, game in L.A., Framber Valdez is pitching. I think L.A. may put out Ohtani for a little bit, and then they may put out Jacob Warbolinski or whatever his name is. Weird. So just weird pitching situations. Christian Walker, Jose Altuve, Mookie Betts, Will Smith. I don't know what's going on. I've blown my nose more times today, which means my allergies are probably bad. Typically, my allergies are worse in the fall when things are in harvest rather than the spring and summer. But today, I don't know. Maybe the pollen count's up for no reason. Those would be my leans. Christian Walker is probably my favorite play in that. 460 feels pretty good for him, especially coming from FanDuel. Game in Colorado, the Coors propaganda is dead, guys. Coors Field is no longer let it fly, send it high. We're no longer in the good glory days of 400-yard smackaroos. It's over, especially when the two teams playing there can't hit home runs. Andrew Benintendi, Mike Tauchman, Ryan McMahon, and Michael Toglia would be my leans. Mickey Moniak's going to hit one today because I had him yesterday. We'll just leave it at that. Game in San Diego, don't love the park. I don't love the situation. Corey Seager, Adolis Garcia, Manny Machado, and Fernando Tatis. I'd target right-handed batters on San Diego. Game in Oakland. Do we have any home runs last night? It was the most prominent, wind blowing out, small stadium, warm weather. I don't know if we got a home run in the whole game. Doesn't scare me away. I'm going back to saying that this is a good spot. Willie Adames, Rafael Devers, Brent Rooker, and Shea Langoliers. Logan Webb is pitching for San Francisco. Logan Webb is good. Take that for what you will, but Brent Rooker at that number looks pretty darn tasty. Last game of the night, PS, post salutations. What's PS stand for? Postscript. PS stands for postscript. Post after script writing, after the writing. You would write this letter and you'd write PS, postscript, after I wrote you this letter. So after, this PS stands for post slate. We've talked about the whole slate. Now we have the last game of the night. That's PS, that's post slate. Post slate, Brian Reynolds. Spencer Horwitz, J.P. Crawford, Dominic Canzone. I like Spencer Horwitz today a lot. And Canzone's been pretty hot. So that is that. We don't have official plays, right? Because I officially suck. I'm kidding. I'm going to play some things. I'm going to play some promos. And I just want you to use this information and do what you will with it and come to your own conclusions. So what I got for you today, I want to make some more videos today. I got a lot of ideas, a lot of things. This series has been swell for me. Stellar, by golly. Might I even say tremendous for the Green Beans Go brand. But I feel as if I can offer more to the world, and I want to offer more, and than just crappy home run picks and slate breakdown. So, be on the lookout for more videos. If you don't mind watching those, thumbing those, and sharing those, that would be helpful. Again, I don't want to move away from sports betting content because I enjoy it, but I do want more general sports content because sports aren't going anywhere. Sports betting, well, we'll find out. Love you. See you tomorrow.